got a cupboard in my house that's dedicated to my foster dogs. In there, I've got all sorts of information about the dogs that I've already fostered, as well as thank you letters from the rescue and from some of the adopters after the dogs have been adopted, as a thank you for looking after them while they were in foster, getting ready to meet their forever families. But in that cupboard, I basically put everything that I've accumulated over the time of looking after a foster that doesn't necessarily need to be sent on with the dog. So things like, I will send on with the dog their favourite toy, or if they're particularly attached to a blanket, that sort of thing. And I will also send back anything that the rescue has supplied me so that those items can be used for other dogs. But I quite spoil my foster dogs, so I buy in a lot of things for them. And if I'm not going to be sending them off with the dog or with the rescue, then I'll keep them ready for a future foster dog. And this means that even though when I know that I've got a foster dog coming, I will go out and get specific things for that dog's arrival, like treats or specific toys that are appropriately sized if it's a different size to anything that I've currently got. I do already have a cupboard full of stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to make a video to talk about some of the things that I've got in my foster cupboard. And as you begin to foster dogs, you'll start to pick up why these things have been lingering around. And it might be fun to compare what things do you have in your foster dog cupboard with mine. So first up is very basic. It is a bowl. And this bowl is the only bowl that I have in my cupboard for the foster dogs. And the reason for that is because when I have a dog first arrive, I want to make sure that it feels immediately comfortable and like it's going to have its needs met here. So I will fill this bowl with water and place it on the floor in the location that the dog's food and water is going to be consistently fed to them. And that is also in the location where this dog is going to be alone whenever I have to go out. It's going to be the location of fun games and training. And it's all about from the very first second that this dog stepped into my house, they can see this bowl full of water and immediately know, okay, I can relax, I have my needs met here. So it's just a little thing that I like to do, even though my rescue does supply food and water bowls, to get the dog feeling at home. And then once the dog has arrived and I've unpacked the food and water bowls, I will use this bowl to mix food and to mix training treats and to mix things like, if I'm going to be mixing wet food with treats or with kibble to stuff into a Kong, I will use this bowl to get all of that mixed together rather than using their food bowls and having to wash that constantly. The next thing in my foster cupboard is something that I have mentioned in a previous video, which is the non-slip mats that I have. Now, I do have quite a few colourful ones, but a lot of them are very big. So this is sort of a boring black and grey one. I quite like the look of it because the black and grey helps blend in all of the different coloured dog furs that end up on it. But these are really great when you get in a medical foster who can't walk over laminate as easily or who is at risk of slipping and injuring themselves further, because this material on the back will stay put where it's put on the laminate. And yes, it can move a little bit, but for the most part, if it's just normal walking over or even a dog running over it most of the time, it will stay in place and provide some support. And it will also, for the ones that I get, I like to get the ones that look a bit nice in my house rather than the cheaper, there's like a cheaper mesh one made out of this material, but it doesn't feel as nice to walk on and it doesn't look as nice. So I have accumulated quite a lot of these that get switched out as they need washing off. The next item is toys. I have loads and loads of toys. I've got squeaky toys, I've got tennis balls, I've got rope toys, I have different cuddly toys. This is just 3 of them. I have so many, and it's because, like I said, even though my rescue will supply toys to come with the dog, I like to spoil them. So, for example, these 2 were a little Yorkshire Terrier that I got that I was like, it's a tiny senior dog who may want to play with tiny puppy toys. So I got in a bunch of them, and it turned out that he had no teeth and didn't actually enjoy playing with too many things except for this little like stuffed toy that he would mouth at. So I ended up with all of these that he never showed an interest in, which I'm just keeping for if another dog comes along that does. And then tennis balls, most of my fosters like tennis balls. There's tennis balls in my garden, there's multiple in my cupboard. There's these normal tennis balls, I have rubber ones, I have textured rubber ones that are good for heavy chewers. So these are just, they seem to multiply without me realising that I've bought a bunch of them, and they live in my cupboard ready for the next dog. Next up is poo bags. I have loads of poo bags, and this is because although my rescue does supply them, sometimes I end up with fosters for weeks and weeks, and I don't feel great about going to the rescue and being like, can I have some more of those? Because they have to look after so many dogs, and these are only a couple of quid, so I'm perfectly happy to buy them myself. But it just means that I end up with like 10 left over in a pack when one foster leaves, and another left over from another foster leaves, and I give back the ones that are supplied by my rescue. Quite often they are bags without handles and they're just a bit harder to tie, so I deliberately go out and buy the ones with handles that I can tie easier. So yeah, my cupboard is overflowing with these as well. And the final thing that I've got in my cupboard is my enrichment items. So once again, I'm really lucky because I work with a rescue that will supply all of the enrichment items that you want, and I will use them with the dogs and then send them back with the rescue once the dog has been adopted. But I also like to experiment because I like doing training for dogs learning to occupy themselves. So I like to go out and buy enrichment things as and when I see them. And sometimes when they get damaged, I'll go and replace them myself. So I just have naturally accumulated over the last couple of years things like this Kong. So this is like a nice medium Kong. It's good for decent chewers. I don't know if you can see, there are chew marks on it from quite a heavy chewer that I had as my last foster, but it's not the maximum size. So those come in black and they are for the really, really destructive chewers, which thankfully my Kong has survived so far and hasn't met one of those yet. But these are great because you can just stuff it full, freeze it, and then give it to a foster and it will occupy itself for half an hour trying to lick out all of the frozen treats. And you can also get, there are versions, so I have a version in my cupboard where it's sort of bottom heavy and the hole is here rather than at the bottom, and they have to just push it around like this to try and wobble it to get the food out. So that's another way that they can keep themselves active and not get bored of the same one type of Kong. So this, I love using these as enrichment. But I also have a variety of snuffle items. So this is my snuffle mat, which opens up quite large. And you can see it's got lots and lots of different tabs and types of like pockets that they can try snuffling in. And it's great because if a dog isn't used to enrichment, I can just put treats on top of a part of it. Whereas if a dog is really clever and really good, I can tuck it away in these tiny, tight little pockets and open it over these tabs and get them really thinking about it. So I really like this snuffle mat. It's been a really good help in getting the dog's brains engaged and turning off of worry. But there are also others that I have in my cupboard that are smaller, like rubber ones that can go in bowls. And those are great for things like dog-safe peanut butter, which you can spread over them and wash off easily. Whereas this one, dog-safe peanut butter, would not be fun to try and wash off. So I just use the dry treats for this type of mat. And those are some of the items that I've accumulated in my foster dog cupboard. Let me know in the comments what items you've got in your cupboard if you've started fostering, or what items you think I should get that I don't have right now.